How we doing, everybody? We're now live on YouTube and we're live on Zoom, so let's get started. I know some of you are still coming in the waiting room. Don't worry about the group, Tyler, if you're listening, just do individual. And everybody, thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Hey, listen, I got some slides I want to go through. I'm excited. It's a great weekend. We're looking to elevate your performance, your income, your abilities, and of course, elevate our opportunity, our products, our marketing, our systems, our trainings, everything else. The LMS is in the works. Um, we're working on our landing pages. You've seen some updates to our landing pages. They now have videos, they're converting better. We're working on different things in our renewal side. We're working on different things in our onboarding side. We want to do better. We want to do better with every application that comes in, and we want to do better with setting up the right expectations from our clients. A lot of our clients have the wrong expectations when they get to the application. They're expecting lower pricing, they're expecting better terms. Um, and that comes at the hands of us in the field, our ability to communicate accurately. And what do we have to do on the website to maybe put a pre-approval offer in or something to, let people know what the pricing range is going to be before they go through the hassle of getting our team working on it. We're always looking at areas of improvement, and every week we improve. But today, what I want to talk about is something that if a couple of you grasp this, your life will change. If you don't grasp it, hopefully it'll change for the better anyway. But nothing happens by accident, right? Only bad things happen by accident. Good things don't really happen by accident. I heard one person say, the smarter you get, the harder you work, the smarter you work, the harder you get, the smarter the work, the harder you get, your luck area becomes larger. Your ability to become lucky gets larger as you work smarter and work more diligently. And I like that statement because I don't believe in luck, but I do believe in fortune. I do believe in my faith, and I do believe the more you work, the smarter you work, the more goodwill you provide people, the better off you're going to be, and you're going to start having favor. I call it God's favor. You can call it the market favor if you're not a believer in God, whatever you want to call it. But what I want to talk about today, I got some slides here to go through, and I'm hoping you got a notepad because what I'd love you to walk away with are the things from this call that you're not yet doing that you need to start doing. And I want you to see the expense of not doing them. So, and the benefit of doing them. So let me start by sharing my screen. Okay, bear with me 1 minute. Actually, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute because I've got to find my slide presentation. And the way Zoom does thing, it covers up things on your screen. So you can't see what's on your screen, even though you're in live presentation mode. So I want to make sure I got the right thing ready to go. All right, here we go. Share screen. Let's do this one more time. Growth stages of DAC leader. Okay, you got this, right? All right, beautiful. So we're going to go through the growth stages of a DAC leader. Before we do that, this is what I wanted to talk about. Something called a lifestyle tax and an activity debt. And lifestyle tax, as we're going to say, is the lifestyle you don't get to have until you accomplish your goals. An activity debt is a debt you pay because you don't know what to do or you're not doing it. Either way, it doesn't matter. It can be ignorance, it can be inactivity. It doesn't matter the reason. It just matters it's not happening. Guys, you are letting people in, right? Because I see the admit button on my screen sitting there for quite a while.
Yep.
Thanks. Thank you. So, what is your income goal? Whatever that is, it doesn't matter. You got to have one because if you don't, you're not shooting for anything. And I will just say this: you're paying a lifestyle tax. If your goal is to have a certain amount, and you're not there yet. You're paying a lifestyle tax. You don't get to live that lifestyle. It's your own tariff. It's your own capital gains. Actually, it's called lifestyle tax, right? And then there's a activity debt. There's a debt you're paying because either you don't know what to do, ignorance, or you're not doing it. irresponsible, whatever you want to call it, inactive. So what's your income goal? Let's just say it's $1 million. $50,000 today is costing you 950,000 to not know or not do what it takes to make $1 million. If your goal is $1 million, if your goal is 100,000, then it's costing you $50,000 a year to not know or not accomplish in lifestyle tax. So let's just use $1 million. $1 million, if that's your goal, and there's no reason it couldn't, don't think it's not possible. It's possible. I'm going to show you how. I'm going to work numbers. You can lower the numbers or increase the numbers. But the concept is this: until you've hit your goal, you're paying a lifestyle tax. It's real simple, right? And you're also incurring a debt of lost income, lost wages until you've hit that goal. So let's say it is $1 million and you're making 50,000 a year today. It's costing you 950,000 in lifestyle tax and debt. You can't get that coach. You can't get that boat. You can't take those vacations. You can't give to that church. You can't buy that vacation home. You just can't yet. You got to pay that lifestyle tax. You got to go earn it. Can't be ignorant to what to do, and you can't be inactive doing it. So let's say it is $1 million. That's 20,000 a week. 20,000 a week in our business is 200 small fundings in your entire group at $100 over each. 200 in your entire group, 200, and you're making $1 million a year on the low end, right? I'm giving low numbers. Now, if for whatever reason you're saying this is impossible, our goal is to do $1 billion in funding and make $100 million in between 100 and 120 million in the next 2 years. So we've got big goals too of going up tenfold, 20-fold, 30-fold, 50-fold. So why shouldn't you? If we're going to believe we can by building a big group, why can't you believe you can get to 200 by building a big group, 200 a week in your group, right? So our goal is to do 100 fundings a day at 50,000 average. Okay, that puts us over $1 billion in funding a year. So why couldn't you have that goal? The only difference between you and us is we believe it. Usually. All right. And hopefully you believe it. So if this is your goal, how do you do that? So if you knew how to get to 200 fundings per week and then did it, you'd be there, right? You wouldn't be paying that lifestyle tax anymore. Until then, you got to pay that lifestyle tax and you incur that inactivity or that ignorance debt. So hopefully that gives you some hunger to go, I need to know what to do and I need to do it. Real simple, your growth stages are you either get customers, you build a team, right? Those are the 2 stages. Hopefully you're doing all of those already because this is the leadership call. This isn't for people that aren't active. This is for people that are active, right? And you want to make an impact. You want to serve the community. You want to serve people, as we do as well. We want to help you win, but we got to be transparently honest. You can't win if you don't do number 1 and you don't do number 2. You can't. So let's just call it what it is, right? This is the requirements of entry. Are you doing number 1 and are you doing number 2? If not, what's the first thing you need to do? You got to quit being inactive. Otherwise, that lifestyle tax you pay forever, right? So ignorance is not knowing what to do. Inactivity is knowing what to do and not doing it. Both are costly. They both cost the same, in fact. But local leader then is doing those 2 things. But then there's a few other things because you need to become a local leader because you can't do 200 deals in your group without having a big group, right? So all you got to do is duplicate local leaders and you can get there. Let me share why. A local leader is someone who does number 1 and 2, but they also do 3-way calls. They also do presentations. The slides are up on the screen. If you're not doing them, you're not a local leader. Let's just call it what it is. Getting started trainings. Do you know how to do the onboard training with someone? It's on video, but you know how to sit down and walk them through it in case they're struggling and stuck. All you got to do is watch it 50 times and take notes, and you've got it. Game plans with your local team's agents. We got an overview of what to do in a game plan. Does it modify and change periodically as different things? Of course, but the concept is an agreement conversation. You can do that. Do you do any local live field trainings? Do you meet with any of your local team? Or if they're not local, do you do Zooms with them weekly? Or is it just once in a while? Is it systematized and formalized? Because if you're not doing these 7 things, you're not a local leader. This is the price to entry, right? This is what it takes to be a local leader. And local leaders should have a goal of 10 fundings a week in their team. 10 fundings a week. Okay, so that's what a local leader is. Now, what I would say is, are you doing all those? If not, what do you got to start doing? You can be, now you're no longer ignorant to it. You may go, well, I don't know how to do the presentation. Download the slides, take my recording, listen to it over and over, write down what does he talk about on slide 1, 2, 3, 4, and do it. Right? It's that easy. What are you doing to get started training? It's real simple. Take the get started onboard training, write it down, put all the notes down. They're all on a whiteboard, put them on a notepad. And now if you had to sit down and do that with someone, you could. Game plan, pull out the game plan summary, go through it. It's really simple. So will you get better by doing it? Of course, but you first got to know what to do, then you got to do it. Now, this has all been talked about for a long time. Maybe this is your first time hearing it, but it's been in our trainings for years, right? And then do your local live trainings. When you bring on new people, are you helping them canvas as a customer? Are you going out and talking to them about clients? Do you role play with them, getting customers? Do you talk about getting their warm market? Do you follow the recruiting training we do, or is it just information? So ignorance is one thing, inactivity is another. They both cost you. You pay a lifestyle tax and you pay an inactivity debt either way. Once you have a local leader, then you become a regional leader. Now your goal is to have 5 local leaders. 50 fundings a week. You'll have local leaders who don't do 10. We have local leaders who do 20, right? The only difference between a local leader and a regional leader is you now start doing a weekly Zoom or strategy call with your local leaders. You train up team builders to be local leaders. That's it. And then you do some little appearances. Maybe you and another local leader have a get together at someone's house and you go there, or at a hotel or at a Zoom event, and you do a Zoom event with 4 of you. You don't just go to the corporate events, but you start doing some yourself. You're a regional leader. You got 50 fundings coming in your group because you got 5 local leaders. How many local leaders can you produce out? For every local leader, how does EXP become the world's largest real estate company? They had a bunch of local leaders. It's that simple. How do you do it? You just follow this process. And then national leaders. Your goal is to have 4 regional leaders. That will get you to that $1 million mark. That's it. That's all there is to this. Weekly calls with your regional leaders, strategy plan, adjust, training up regional leaders to be national leaders. Now, if you think this is hard to do, you're right. If you think the odds are slim, you're right. If you think the odds are in your favor, you're wrong. But I heard something today that said extraordinary things don't happen by doing extraordinary stuff. Extraordinary things happen by doing ordinary things for an extraordinary long period of time. So what do you need to do? You need to be a local leader before you can duplicate local leaders, right? So what on this list are you not doing today with your team? Doesn't matter if it's just you and 2 people. What do you have to learn how to do? And what do you have to start doing to do everything on this list and have your team doing 10 fundings a week? You got to be able to do all 1 through 7. What do you have to learn yet? What do you have to spend some time on homework? Now, it's not your 9 to 5 that's keeping you from getting wealthy here. It's your 5 to 9, what you do after work or what you don't do after work. What you do it's not the fact that you only have weekends off. It's that you take the weekends off and you don't use them to build your business. That's where you're not creating your wealth. You're supposed to work part-time on your fortune while you work full-time on your job, right? So what do you have to learn? All you got to do is real simple. You just got to go to that list and you got to do it. That's all. It's pretty simple. So if you don't, you will continue to pay that lifestyle tax. If you don't, you will have activity debt, and that comes from ignorance or inactivity. All right. So don't delay the knowledge or doing that activity any further. Because why have that lifestyle tax and why have that debt? This summarizes all it takes to succeed in this business. I can tell you that what got me out of General Motors was what you just saw. I got to be a local leader. I got to know how to do what a local leader does, and I got to find other local leaders. That's it. That's all there is to this. Now, the list is there. The documents are there. The spreadsheets are there. Is the hunger there? Right? Is the ambition there? Is the belief there? If not, I recommend, because this is a Monday. This isn't a sales position. Sales position is Friday. Someone who just wants to make money getting clients. That's Friday. This is team duplication. So if you're not believing that you could be a local leader and duplicate local leaders, and again, vicinity doesn't matter. If you live in another country, Nick, Matt, you can still be a local leader over a Zoom. So, and that goes the same for everyone who lives in Michigan. You can be a local leader for people in San Francisco. Yeah, you can't meet with them personally until they build to a certain size, but you can be their local leader by doing local Zooms and having local focused things. Maybe you're coming to them through Zoom, but just be a little more creative about it, right? But all I can say is someone showed me this when I was an employee at GM. And I said, okay, I'm going to be a local leader. And back then, the local leader, you had to open an office. There's no such thing as Zoom. You had to sign a lease and put money on the table. And they said the more offices, the more office leases you have, the more money you're going to make. So my goal was how many offices can I open and duplicate leaders to lead that center. And it was that simple. There was no, it didn't have to become a big. I was no longer ignorant to what I had to do. It's just whether I did it or not. You're not ignorant to what you need to do. I didn't know how to do a briefing presentation. I didn't know how to do a Saturday training. They gave me the list and said, okay. I said, okay, I can do that list. I watched other people do it. I audio taped it, two or three of them, and I started doing it. Was I as good as them? No. It didn't matter. You duplicate by doing. So if you're just coming to the Monday and you're not being a local leader, I'm going to encourage you, be a local leader. There's one of the things the super ultra successful people do. It's not that they have abilities you don't have or others don't have. It's something they don't have that helps them be successful. One of the things they don't have is the distractions of multiple things. And you can have a job during the day, but if you're trying to build three businesses at night, good luck building any one of them to be $1 million business. Good luck having building any one of them to be 50, 100 grand a month. It's not going to happen. You may make an extra grand a month on this one, an extra grand a month on that one. But if you really, the plan I just showed, and if you got on late, go back and watch this. Plan I just showed was how it's simple algebra to get to $1 million a year with our company. And it was first being a local leader, then being a regional leader with 5 local leaders, and then having 4 regional leaders. That's it. 4 regional leaders who all have 5 local leaders, and you're making $1 million a year. If each local leader just has 10 fundings a week and their entire team. It's that simple. Now, not easy, not fast, but like I said earlier, extraordinary results don't come from doing extraordinary things. They come from doing ordinary things for an extraordinary period of time. So it's not going to happen overnight, but it may take you 5 years till you have 4 local leaders. But we're talking about $1 million a year. Now your goal may have only been 100,000, and once you're there, maybe it'll be higher. I'm not saying you'll make $1 million, but I'm also not saying you shouldn't believe you can, because the math is the math. How many local leaders do you want? 50? Well, great. 100, 200? There's no reason it's a free business why you couldn't have as many local leaders as EXP has local leaders or Century 21 has local leaders. There's no reason. Ignorance is one thing, but once you know the plan, inactivity is the only thing that stops you from getting there. You don't have to be exceptional in front of the room. You don't have to be exceptional on the telephone. You don't have to be exceptional. Just follow the plan, live the plan, execute the plan, and it works. All right. So that's what we're doing. I'm gonna give you one last thing to think about. Our corporate team, I've been talking to them. Some of them have heard this analogy because I've had some private calls already since my boot camp. Some haven't, but use this. This is really helping me, and I would encourage y'all. So there was 20 years ago or so, there was a guy who golfed at the golf course where I live here, and he won the Michigan Open. The Michigan Open was here where we live. And because of that, he got entrance into a PGA event. I mean, it's a PGA, but it's Michigan PGA. It's a smaller. So he got entrance into some event. I don't know which one it was. And he was looking for sponsors to help cover his travel. In our company, I was thinking about sponsoring him. He'll put our name on our golf bag and all kinds of stuff. So I was thinking of sponsoring him. And I forget what it was, like 15 grand. It wasn't it was a lot, but it wasn't a lot to have your name on a bag. And he was going to go to the golf thing. And if he made it to TV, man, our logo would be all over TV, right? So I thought about doing it, cover all his travel to the event. And one of the things we said is, well, let's go golf and let's get to know each other a little better. So we came out here to our golf course where he just won, and he was a friend of mine's friend. So this is how I learned of him. So we go golfing, and he's telling me, we're talking about some things and stuff I don't even know. And he's a pro golfer. And he said the difference between me and the guys who make it on the cut is every one of them when they're hitting their approach shot. So in golf, you tee off and then you have a couple shots and you hit to the green, right? You try to land on the green and then you putt. And me, I'm happy to be on the green in regulation, right? It's two strokes underneath par. So if I hit it and get on the green the next shot, yeah, I'm putting. Pros, they say if you're not within 15 feet of the flag, so the green's really big. If you don't land within 15 feet of the flag, the odds are you're not going to one putt. But if you get within 15, you got a good chance of doing a one putt every time. You may not get a one putt, but you're giving yourself a chance. So he's out here playing. He's getting frustrated because he's 19 feet from the flag. He's 24 feet from the flag. He's 31 feet from the flag. Oh, that one, he's only 4 feet from the flag. But he's upset because he's not dropping darts within 15 feet of the flag. Now, you can't always do that, but that's the goal. And he said that's the most important stroke on the course, putting and the approach, because you can recover from a wounded drive. You can recover from a bad second shot, unless that's the one for the green. But your approach shot to the green and your putts, that's where you got to spend most of your time, because that's where you cut your score and you go the difference between making a living and being rich as a golfer, right? And so I say that only to say, I'm looking at the average applications for per new rep as our approach shot. We're completely working through on what do we got to do to improve the number of apps per new rep. So does it matter if we get 1,000 new reps if we get 1 out of 20,000 who get an application? No, it doesn't matter. Does it matter if we get 1,000 reps if we get 1 out of 10 to get an application? Well, now you're getting 100 applications. Well, what if it's 1 out of 20? What if it's 1 out of 50? So what can you do is you enroll new people to help them have new apps, because that's like the approach shot, right? And then the quality of the package becomes like the putting. Because if they're getting an application, but it's a $80,000 funding, yeah, baby, that's good for you, good for that business owner, and good for them. If it's an $800 giggle funding, hey, it's still encouraging, but the check is less than a Applebee's salad, your income, right? So it'll buy you a lunch, but it'll encourage you to help that business owner, but it's not going to, unless you get 3 of those a day, you're not eating, right? Where you get one big funding a month or a week and you're eating very well. So my thought to you is look at that list that I showed of what it's like to be a local leader, and what on that list do you have to knock off first? Well, you got to be able to talk to clients. You got to be able to recruit a team. You got to be able to onboard that new team. You got to be able to do presentations, 3-way calls, and you got to be producing 10 packages in your team a week. Well, how do you do that? You get real good at getting your new reps to get a package their first month. Because then once you have all your new agents getting one new application in the first week or two, then it's just a matter of turning the dial up on recruiting. Then let's say you had 1 out of every 5 reps who got started, got a funding in their first week. If you could shoot for that, that's your approach shot. Now you may have to go to the range and hit 7,000 balls before you're landing within 15 yards. But if you said, hey, okay, I'm going to make it my responsibility for every new person that comes in my group, I'm going to get on the phone with them and do a little role play with them and make sure they approach the warm market. And we're going to try to get 1 out of every one of those agents. We're going to try to get 1 out of every 5 to get a funding. And then I'm going to go to 2 out of every 5, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5 out of 5 are going to get a funding in the first month. If that's your goal, a better golfer, and I said, okay, the number one thing I got to do is go putt to make sure I'm 2-putting every time. And I can make any putt inside of 10 feet. I got to putt. And then I'm going to start my approach shot. And I got to make sure I'm landing it on the green every time, and then move it closer to the flag every time. Now my game is vastly improved. Then I worry about the drive. Then I worry about. So recruiting matters. That's like the drive. What really matters is how many of those new reps, those new agents are referring clients. And you can impact that. You can control that. You can have an impact on whether they do or not based on you picking up the phone. So if you pull your downline report and you say, look at all the new reps who started in the last 48 hours, call them, text them, welcome them to the team, be their enroller, even though you're not their enroller. If you're getting overrides either way, if the goal is 200 fundings a week, and you at $100 override, then call them and get them moving, get them flowing through to the packages. If they're not willing to call someone, ask them for a lead and call them for them. Do the upline referral script, call them for them. And of course they get credit for it. You're helping them get started. But so if you had every new agent, 1 out of 5 got a funding, then to get 200 a week, all you got to do is have 1,000 new agents start, and you're making $1 million a year. Well, how do you get 1,000 agents to start a week? Well, if you turn that knob up, you get everybody running ads, recruiting people, and right. So I'm not saying that's the model. The model is local leaders, but it starts by you making sure your approach shot. The new agents are referring packages, referring clients. Well, they're not going to refer anyone if they're not comfortable. That's why being a local leader matters. You onboard, you train, you three-way call, you help them with calls, you role play calls with them, you give them the words at work. Some people don't even know where the training is. They didn't read their welcome email. Well, you can help circumvent that by talking to them, right? And so I love the information that was covered today. I just wrote it all up myself this morning up in my kitchen because it's so critical, because it's what got me out of General Motors, being a local leader, and then eventually having a lot of local leaders in my team. And then I was the regional leader, and we were really all just local leaders, but I was just pulling them all together and having some competitive things and setting up some barbecues and setting up some get-togethers at TGI Fridays after the meeting, and let's have a meeting after the meeting, and let's have some Friday game plan meetings. And it was really simple. It really is that simple. So if you got on late, go back and watch this video. Don't pay that lifestyle tax anymore. You don't need to. That's the tax of not having the lifestyle you want. Every day we pay a lifestyle tax, and we can get that behind us. We can put that behind us really quick. You can get where money's not a cause of that. And then there's the ignorance debt, really, of all the income you don't get to make because you don't know what to do. And then there's the inactivity debt that you take on. If you're capable of making $1 million a year and you're only making 30,000, you're paying a debt of $970,000 a year of lost wages, a debt you're accruing, and a lifestyle tax at $970,000. And there's no reason to set the goal under that. If you believe in this business and you're going to focus on it, then just do ordinary things for an extraordinary time. And 5 years from now, you'll be at $1 million a year. You run the little plan I just showed today. How long does it take you to get 4 regional leaders? Now, most people say, well, I've been here 4 years and I don't have them yet. Well, how often were you being a local leader yourself and duplicating local leaders? How many people did you sit down with to talk to them about being a local leader? Or did you not? So ignorance to what to do, or inactivity, not being willing to do it, should not expect the result. But if you do the thing, if you know the thing to do and do the thing, you should expect the result. So, how coachable are you? It's real simple. All the things David Rutz asked to do I do them or do I not? If I don't, then I'm not really coachable to do the DAC way. If I do them, then I'm coachable. There's nothing we ask you to do that is not coachable, or that's out of integrity. There's nothing. We ask you to do nothing that's out of your integrity. Maybe out of your comfort zone, but it's not out of integrity or good character or goodwill. God bless.